Now, I want to get on to what could be some good news tonight, because we've been trying to put some pressure on the Queensland government with your help to help people who are being treated appallingly and heartlessly when it comes to pandemic overreach. Since last Thursday, we've highlighted the plight of Mark Kilian and his wife Anneli, who have been stuck in hotel quarantine in Sydney for a week now after flying in from the US, desperate to get to Queensland to farewell Mark's dad, Franz, who's in palliative care, barely hanging on as he dies from cancer. Now, time is of the essence here, and a week has already been wasted. You see, not only are Mark and Anneli fully vaccinated, but they've tested negative to COVID 3 times. So the risk here is tiny. They've been prepared to charter a flight to Queensland in order to limit contact with anyone else and adopt any other measures, such as masks and gloves, that anybody requires. But Queensland said no. And on our approaches to the government and the Premier, they've been holding the line, saying they can't grant exemptions, stressing they're all about keeping Queenslanders safe, which is why it was extraordinary to see Annastacia Palaszczuk try to duck shove this to the federal government yesterday.
It's absolutely tragic. These issues are tragic. Unfortunately, the national guidelines, so it's what's agreed to federally, is the 14 days of quarantine for people coming overseas. That applies to everybody.
Can you intervene in this case, or will you?
Well, if the federal government wants to talk to both states, I'm happy to facilitate that, but this applies to everybody.
Now, that was pretty dumb, because Canberra had already given the couple an exemption to get into Australia. New South Wales had allowed them into hotel quarantine. The only hold-up has been Queensland. This was pointed out today in a statement by the Prime Minister. And now Thursday and Friday and again on Monday, you supported us on this story. You agreed the couple should be allowed in Queensland. Many of you signed a petition on change.org. And you will have noticed that Channel 10 and the ABC have since followed up on this story in the past couple of days. So then suddenly, the Queensland Premier, she seems to have either found her heart or some common sense or something. Have a look.
I want the New South Wales government to say that they're happy to end the 14-day mandatory quarantine, which is a national standard. And if New South Wales is happy to end that 14-day mandatory quarantine standard, write that immediately to Dr. Young, and we will facilitate it. No one wants to see people not see their relatives. I lost my grandmother a year ago. This week's very sad for me. So it's very sad for other people in the exact same situation.
Well, again, time is of the essence here. Palaszczuk should allow this exemption now, not tomorrow, not in a few hours, but right now. Let's cross to Mark and Anneli now in their hotel quarantine. Mark, thanks for joining us again. What is the latest? Presumably you've been trying to give the Queensland government whatever information they want. Have you got an update for us?
We have. We got a call from them, which was very nice, and they informed us that it was in process, that they were talking to all their delegates and people involved were working on the case. And what the next step was, they were talking to the team that are dealing with my father, the team who are caring for my father, trying to figure out a plan of where's my dad going to go. My dad wants to go home, of course, and they don't want to let him go home because he's too ill for that. So they're trying to figure that plan out. And of course, us being there is another component of that in terms of how do they keep everybody safe. So this is what is going on. And apparently tomorrow morning, a decision amongst that team is going to be made, which from what we can tell is going to influence the decision that they make about us and how that proceeds forward.
All right, well, this is good news. They should have been doing this a week ago, of course, but at least they're looking to facilitate it now. Perhaps it could be implemented in 24 or 48 hours. Just how is your dad? How's he looking at hanging on there to see you?
It's heartbreaking. He's hanging on there, but he's very weak. He did a little message to try and say thank you to people, was it yesterday? And that really tired him out a lot. And we've managed to keep all of this from him and from my mother, all the media coverage. They haven't seen any of it. We've managed to keep them away from all of this. But it is just becoming a little difficult now. And, he's had to be a little bit aware of what's going on. And it's, of course, it's very stressful for him. I would rather he just wasn't a part of any of this whatsoever. So it's unfortunate, but we're cautiously optimistic about these new developments.
Yeah, well,
and we can only hope.
Indeed, Mark and Anneli, you've been strong. You've got a lot of people on your side. Let's hope that these changes, these arrangements can be put in place and you can get there to see your father. All strength to you, and thanks for joining us again.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your support, Chris.
Our pleasure, and our audience have been signing that petition, and we all support you, Mark, Kilian there, and Anneli, who are looking to go to Queensland. Let's hope it's as soon as tomorrow. What could be more important than allowing Mark and Anneli, both fully vaccinated, the chance to say goodbye to Franz, Mark's father?